company design, manufacture, import, export, sell and distribute the Articulate Gallery, which is a special picture frame for children's art with a slot in the side for instant framing of 2D and 3D kids' creations. So basically it gets the kids' art off the fridge door and into its rightful place in a frame on the wall. And actually the business is called Articulate because when children are very young, they don't necessarily have the vocabulary to express thoughts and feelings and emotions, but they can do that by, making their paintings or drawings or whatever that lets them articulate the way, that they're feeling. So yeah, creativity is hugely important, and creativity is at the core of all problem solving. So by encouraging our kids to be creative, we make smarter kids, and that's it in a nutshell. It's also very good for them stimulus-wise, it's very good for their hand-eye coordination, and it just ticks so many boxes. It's great for mental health. It's great for, without creativity, none of us would be here. We'd all still be living in caves. It takes a creative mind to make something or design something or develop something. So creativity, and it's not necessarily all about drawings and paintings and stuff. It's across the board, but when kids are in their very early years, they get a great benefit from it. The product is so popular because every child is an artist, as Picasso said. So every parent has got the same dilemma, what to do with all this children's art. I've introduced the product to tens of thousands of people, and 99.9% of them said, what a brilliant idea, it's so simple, I wish I'd thought of that, can I get one or whatever. I'd like it to become a kind of household name, if I'm honest. I export now all over the world really, but what happened was back in 2012 I won an award. It was the Exporting for Growth Prize from the UKTI, UK Trade and Invest, and so I got third place, and the prize was actually a thing called an OMIS report, which is a Overseas Marketing Introductory Survey. Fridge door art is really, really a big thing in the States, so I got them to run this report in the States. And what it did was it gave me suggestions of warehouses that I could use and what the consumer would maybe expect and different retailers that I might be able to get into. So in 2013, I had launched the product in the States, and it was met with a fair degree of success, really. The biggest customer by miles for me is Amazon. It must be 90% of my sales are through Amazon. And I started as a seller on Amazon, which most of Amazon's products are supplied via sellers. But after a year or two, they asked me to become a wholesaler. And it's now pallet load quantities, and so that's really encouraging. But also, I found myself talking to companies like Pottery Barn Kids and Target and Bed Bath and Beyond, and there's a whole host of what they call big box buyers, all opened up to the product. They really, really liked it. So I found myself with my products listed on all of these websites. So pretty successful story. It just became impossible to ship product efficiently across new Brexit borders. So I then had to go and find a facility in France, because Amazon in France is my second biggest customer next to Amazon in the States. And it took me a full year to find one. I basically started importing directly into France. So I ship containers directly into France into a warehouse that picks packs and dispatches from there and ships my stuff out to customers all over Europe, commercial customers and consumers, and most of all Amazon in France. And to me, it's a little bit sad that I've got to pay some European company when it could have been here. So there's a lot of revenue that's no longer in the UK. But that's been a bit of a success, actually, getting that to work. And I quite like working with them. So it's also a pleasure, and I hopefully we'll go and get to visit at some point soon, because it's just outside Paris, and I'm very fond of Paris. I have always been what they call a tree hugger. I'm really environmentally aware, and the product, I just found out recently that I could have it made with FSC, so sustainably sourced, and it's made of MDF, which is actually made of recycled wood fibers anyway, but I was able to get it made FSC, and the packaging is partially recycled cardboard and is fully recyclable. So ticking more and more boxes, and as I say, I ship ocean freight when I export out of China and import into my warehouses in the States and France and England. And ocean freight is the most it's got the lowest carbon footprint of any form of transport. The next step would be I'm looking into Asia Pacific, so China. There's a huge market there, and obviously that's where I make my product. That's where my patents lie, and the cost of patents is astronomical. So I decided to see if I could get patents in China, because that's where you've got to make a product if you're going to make it cheaply enough to be able to put it, because there's a long sort of list of people who get a cut between manufacture and retail. So I found what's called a sourcing agent. They basically look after all of my Chinese effort. So they actually call themselves your office in China, and that's what they act as. So they've got Chinese, they've got a lawyer and a person that arranges the manufacture and finds sources factories to make product, but they are absolutely invaluable. Without them, I'd have had to go to China and scratch my head as to how on earth I find a manufacturer. But because they've got a lawyer, they're able to put like contracts in place for every manufacture run and that kind of thing. But they also were able to, get me a Chinese patent. What I would say to anyone, going into export is, do the research, find your market, find out how you're going to service it, find out how you're going to supply, and if your product is compliant. And I would say trade shows are really useful. I mean, if you're going into export into the retail industry, then the trade shows is absolutely where you're going to find out what you need to know, and probably go visit one before making an exhibition at one, because you can find out an awful lot just by going and asking questions. I learned the hard way. I didn't seem to get a hold of the right people to ask questions, so I just had to fumble my way through it. But none of it's rocket science. It's all just a bit of hard work and a steep learning curve.